For 100 years, Hamilton and Wenham friends and families have gathered together for everything from duty to service to after-school childcare behind the slender columns and brick walls of the community house. But the community house was founded on one of the hardest of human stories. The brick building at the corner of Bay Road and Asbury Street is testament to extraordinary people finding hope and purpose inside the cruelest sorrow.
My name is Lily Rice Shaw. I am a great-granddaughter of George Snell Mandel and his wife Emily Proctor Mandel. And those names are important here at the community house because they are the ones who built the community house for the town of Hamilton and Wenham. And they built it in honor of their son, Samuel Pierce Mandel, and the other young men of his era who fought in World War I.
The Proctor and Mandel names were once heavily inscribed in Boston and North Shore sporting pages. George Mandel was the editor and president of the Boston Evening Transcript, Boston's largest newspaper at the time. In August of 1918, Lieutenant Mandel was assigned to the 20th Aero Squadron and the front. He flew 17 missions with the 20th. Sam Mandel's last flight, November 5th, over the French city of Mouzon, was also the last American air raid of the war. He was flying third in formation when his plane was put out of commission and crashed near the village of Martincourt. Sam was alive but seriously injured. His bomber observer, Lieutenant Robert Fulton, was less so. German soldiers made it to them and offered first aid to Sam.
They came and they tried to help Sam administer first aid, and then some German troops came along the countryside and said, well, we need to take Fulton in. And they left Sam and they promised him that they would send someone back to care for him. And there's one account, I think is Fulton's letter that we've found to the Mandels saying, we could hear him crying out, good luck, good luck. He wasn't thinking about himself, he was saying, I'll see you.
As nearby French villagers reported, a different German officer came upon Sam and shot him many times, including in the head. Sam was 21 years old. How do families fill the emptiness left by their buried sons? How do communities welcome home the wounded? How does life without war begin again? The entire nation was asking these questions. Community Services Incorporated, a national civic nonprofit, visited more than 800 towns across the country, including Hamilton and Wenham, recommending ways to begin to heal the war's wounds. When surveyed, the people of Hamilton and Wenham said that a place to gather would help. The Mandels offered at once to build it. The measure of the Mandels' grief seemed equal only to their generosity. A group of friends sought to honor both. Discreetly, without the Mandels knowing, they raised funds and commissioned sculptor Anna Coleman Watts Ladd from Manchester to create a memorial to Sam within the Hamilton House. Sam's brother Thomas secretly posed for the sculpture. Guy Lowell quietly redesigned the portico to contain it. On Sunday, October 9, 1921, the community presented the bronze sculpture honoring Sam and the 7 men from the towns lost in the war to the Mandels. The Mandels were building a space for the weddings, the dances, the birthday parties, retirement parties, and anniversaries that would mark calendars with joy again.
The community house being built around 1921, I believe, and when it was built, it almost immediately became another place, or the social center, because there was nothing else in town. The town hall had a library in it. It had some things like that, but those were being forced out of it. And so this building really took over the center of the town as far as activities were concerned.
In 1933, again well supported by the Mandels, the community house added an addition that would open a new chapter to the organization's history: bowling. The community loved it. Bowling was so popular that in 1957, the community house built a whole separate building to house 8 lanes. Hamilton House supplied those funds by mortgaging the property.
When we were bowling at the community house, we had a women's league, but we always used to kid that if you knew the train schedule, if you threw the ball when the train was coming by, you were almost always guaranteed a strike. And so some of us knew when the train schedule was, and we threw our ball, and that was the best score we had all day.
But bowling's popularity inspired many more commercial lanes, leaving the community house lanes quiet. In 1978, the equipment was sold off and the new building leased to Beverly Hospital for medical offices. In 1980, working Hamilton and Wenham families needed something new from the community house, and the 60-year-old building needed serious and expensive repairs. Joanne Patton arrived in Hamilton at that time from Washington, D.C.
Then I came back to stay, and it was time I got to know my new permanent home. I heard early on about something called the community house, and community was the word that talked to me because I had been working so closely for so long with Army Community Service and in volunteer roles in various places. So when I heard they were inviting interested people to come find out what they were doing, I did that too.
Patton learned the history of the Mandels and the ways the community house had served the two towns over the years, and she was touched. Patton organized a group of volunteers and raised just shy of $100,000. This would allow the supervising committee to proceed with critical work, which included finally addressing the water that had never stopped seeping into the basement. Patton was invested. When Rusty Copeland invited her to fill his seat as president, she accepted. In 1984, working Hamilton and Wenham families needed childcare more than almost anything else.
An organization came to us, the board of directors, and wanted to rent or lease the space and was willing to pay about $100 a month, but wanted about $5,000 or $6,000 worth of renovations. Instead of leasing the space to another program, we started the program here in the basement, did some renovations, and just started offering it to the community. It was well accepted. It was needed.
I'm Betty Sweet, and I was here as executive director at the community house from 1988, man, that sounds a long time ago, to 2001. And during that time, 13 years, We just had a wonderful experience, but we put on the addition, and that was the big part. And programming grew by leaps and bounds.
Under Sweet's leadership, the community house added the Ski Bradford program, kindergarten enrichment. The Neverland Express Theater came in, along with other drama programs. Retirees and Wannabes was created, trips for seniors from day trips to the MFA to overseas European tours and more. Another important program started in Betty Sweet's time, Breakfast with Santa. Breakfast with Santa has raised more funds and perhaps more happy holiday memories than any other community house event.
I guess if I'm to reflect on some of the best moments here, there are certainly many. But, one thing that I had participated in quite a bit was Breakfast with Santa. Matter of fact, I've been involved with Breakfast with Santa for so long that I'm actually seeing the children of children that had originally sat on my lap, over 20 years ago when I started. And one thing I would always say as a Santa is that we are probably the most fortunate people to live in Hamilton-Wenham, because as I found out, there's not one bad child. After asking them if they were good or bad, they all said resoundingly yes. So there you go.
"100 years of people gathering, celebrating, holding hands, being friends, parading, wishing." The community house began as a place for a wounded community to come together and begin to heal. Today, it's a place where that community stays strong.
Throughout the pandemic, I've been forced to think about what would be lost if the community house was unable to continue on. A singular place or space or mission that is designed or intended to always unite people and bring people together. Where else would people go to do that? What other organization would step up or step in or have the ability to organize a community the way the community house does? It's sad to think about that because I don't know that that exists. So the community house truly is one of a kind. It's a unique and precious gift that we need to take care of. It's up to us to carry it on for the next 100 years, but we're going to need the community to help continue to propel us into the next century.
100 years ago, the Mandel family transformed their grief into generosity. Generations later, the Mandel, Proctor, and Rice family have continued that legacy of giving. If you have not already, we hope you can consider joining this family and so many others who have come together to steward the community house through the last century and to prepare it for the next.